Imagine being able to go diving whenever you want, wherever you want, and right beneath your boat is an extraordinary undiscovered world that's just waiting to be explored. In this video I'm going to show you how we find new dive sites. These dive sites may never have been dived before, the setups we have on board, the resources we use to find new dive sites, the gear we use, and also how that gear performs over time. As far as finding new dive site goes, because we don't generally recognise dive sites, so we'll look at, or depends on where we're going. If we're going to, Papua New Guinea, the Solomons, the Outer Reef, or into the Coral Sea, we'll look at satellite imagery, so that'll be overtell and GPS tracks. We'll be looking for distinctive things within that, like big drop-offs, channels, big bommies that are sort of mainly outside the reef. Generally on the side that's not the prevailing weather, because we generally find vertical walls on that side are better, the quality of the coral is better, and if we can get a bit of current there, that's a bonus, because we'll be getting really good fish life. Once we've found something on satellite imagery, sometimes we'll run the drone over it, not all the time. I'll go out there and stick my head in the water out of the tender as we're sort of going around and see if I can see something that I think might be of interest. We'll then jump on a scooter, have a quick rip around, and then if we think we've found a spot that is worth the effort, we'll go back, gear up, and then we'll go back to that site. Part of the reason for using satellite imagery is, well, one, we can sort of, I think we can find dive sites quicker. It also enables us to use that same imagery offline, so we can mark it with a phone when we've found a good site, so we can actually locate it again, because it's quite difficult at times to find a good dive site on a reef that might be 2 or 3 mile away from the tender, and then re-find it again. So we find if we can just mark it, we can just rip back there and get straight in. We have 4 full sets of dive gear on board plus spares. So we'll have 2 ladies BCs, 2 men's BCs, and we'll also have an extra large BC, because we need that to accommodate a variety of different size people, because we'll have friends and family on the boat of varying sizes. We do find that that's a pretty good balance for us. We have Aqua and Oceanic, and both those brands have done us really well over a long period of time, so we'll stick with those. We don't carry too many dive accessories. We'll have a knife and also an inflatable marker. We don't use weight belts anymore, we use integral weights. We just find they're a lot more user friendly. Unfortunately, we changed over to Ocean Pro regulators a couple of years ago, and well, they're just garbage. We've had a lot of trouble with the mouthpieces breaking. The diaphragms just keep disintegrating on us. So in my view, they're dangerous and not really fit for purpose. And especially when you're in remote areas like we're diving all the time. No, they're garbage. But we've had some old regulators which we've had to survive on all season, which are old Maris ones, which date back to 1996. So they're still a strong regulator, going really well. But I think we'll throw out the Ocean Pro ones now, and before this season kicks off, or this next season, we'll go back, and I think we're pretty tempted just to go back to Mara's ones because of the quality. We have 2 Yamaha scooters on board. They're outstanding. The battery life's probably even better than what they advertise. They enable us to do some good dive exploration, or if there's a lot of current, they're really good for that, just as a safety thing, and just especially when there's only 2 of us on board. We carry 4 dive tanks in 3 different sizes, and they're all aluminium, but we may well change those over before next season back to steel. The dive compressor we have on board is a Bauer Junior 2. It's a petrol one, because we don't have a generator on board big enough to run a dive compressor of that size. It's been outstanding, this compressor. It's done a lot of work. We do probably 100 dives each a year plus, when we have guests or those other cruising people about. So it's gone really, really well. All we're doing is just general servicing, oil changes and filter changes, but yeah, it's holding up well. There is a little bit of corrosion on it, but you're going to expect that in this type of conditions. Most of the time we'll run a Mermaid line off the back of the tender. It has a couple of loops on it with a couple of floats, so that if we sort of get a bit much current or whatever, we've got something to hang on to and something to hook our gear to. As you can see in this photo, we'll have 4 ropes around the tender with carabiners. We throw those overboard, so when we come back to the boat, we can clip our dive gear on, we can clip the cameras on. It just makes life a lot easier when we come back to the boat, especially if there's a lot of current, because there's going to be no one in the tender. So we need to be able to just, secure that gear before it just sort of floats away and get into the tender. 2 years ago we changed over to a 4-metre True Kit catamaran inflatable, fully inflatable tender. That's gone outstandingly well. It really performs well for how we use the boat. We did have a rigid inflatable prior to this, but we kept cracking the hull, and it was a Swift one. It was an Australian made one, but anyway, that kept cracking, so it wasn't really fit for purpose. So we've got this 4-metre True Kit now. As you can see, we've had 7 people and 1 chook in it in New Guinea this year, so it's working really well for how we want to dive and how we use the boat, because it's basically our work ute, ripping around, and we'll go up to sort of 2.5 mile to a dive site and visiting villages and doing whatever we've got to do. It performs really, really well, and we couldn't be more happy with it. So on this True Kit, we've got a 20 horsepower 4-stroke Mercury motor on it, and it performs really well. It can be a little bit probably too flighty when there's only myself in the boat, but when we have, the 7 people and the 1 chook, it's really handy. So that's the setup that we've got, and that's how we sort of roll. I think it's worked really well for us, and it continues to work well for us. We've developed it over a number of years now, and we're pretty happy. We're always sort of tweaking it, but I'm not saying it's the be-all and end-all. And if you've got any comments, feel free to comment below, or if you've got questions, I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. And even if you've got something where you suggest that maybe we can improve here or there, feel free to let us know. Thanks very much for taking the time to watch this edition of Sailing User. I know it's a little different. We've had a lot of people over the years ask us for, maybe a little bit of advice here and there on how to find a dive site, or the gear we use, or the tender we use, or different stuff like that. So we thought this video may be of use, and hopefully you get something out of it.